I want to welcome my beautiful and phenomenal guest, Zanele Mutepfa Rhone. She is Zimbabwe born, and she is a diversity strategist, speaker, activist, philanthropist. And Zanele is the founder of Here to Stay, a women's speaker series celebrating the stories of change-making women in the world. From working for Anderson Cooper at CNN to building her own diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting collective. Zanele is a recognized thought leader in her field. And Zanele, her and her collective have made contributions to the global brand campaigns such as Nike's Until We All Win, featuring Serena Williams and the LeBron James. Go girl. As an executive producer, she also created short film interview series featuring thought leaders, including former Daily Show host Trevor Noah. Please help me welcome Zanele.
Thank you so much, Mary. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Listen, so I talked about how important it is for us to set goals for our life, really just to have a life vision.
Absolutely.
I've talked to clients or people that I've met, and just to get to know them, I'm like, where do you see yourself in the next year, the next 5 years or 20 years? And they're like, I've never really thought about it. Right?
Yes.
I've watched you over the last decade plus.
Right, 13 years.
Really soar.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And the reason why I wanted you to be here today is because I've seen you do some phenomenal things.
Thank you.
And I really want to dive into what inspired you, how did you maintain momentum when things kind of took a lull, and share some encouraging words with our viewers. So do you mind if we jump in?
Yes, let's jump right
in. Awesome. All right, so I want you to think back to a time when you reached the most authentic and meaningful goal that you've achieved.
Okay.
Think back.
Yeah.
What was that goal?
Well, it's funny because I listened to my bio and I think like, geez, that little Zimbabwean girl sure has come a long way. I feel like as soon as I landed in the US, I kind of created this journey since I was 8 years old that was filled with different goals. And if you have any friends that are immigrants who've shared with you what their journeys have been, you'll find that a lot of us see, okay, here's a check mark next to getting a green card. Okay, that's one goal. Yeah. What is the process that we have to go to for that? Okay, after a green card, that opens up doors for opportunities, more jobs. But then I want to vote, right? Like I want to vote for the legislation, or I want to vote for the people that are going to be our leaders. Got to be a citizen. And so check, how do we get to that? And I recall just growing up in a household that was full of goals, right? And people goal setting, not just for the livelihood of, keeping a roof over our head or, meals on our table, but in order for us to build what we like to believe was the American dream. And so I started very young, not only witnessing other people creating goals, but also asking myself, what do I want to do? So I just didn't know that they were called goals, honey. So when I think about so many different things when I think about goals, but one of the biggest things that I would say, or moments that I realized, oh my gosh, like this is a goal that I wrote down and it came to life, was I used to be the head of diversity for Adidas North America.
Okay.
So right here in Portland off of Greeley, and I got to do some fantastic projects. I mean, people till this day will look at me and say, when you first told me you're gonna quit your job, I looked at you so crazy, honey. I mean, this is a global organization. I got to, lead projects in Portland, but I got to go to Germany a lot because Adidas is headquartered there.
Right.
And so from the outside, people would just see like, oh my gosh, this girl's flying all over the world. She is, working with different teams. One minute she's doing a recruiting project and she's meeting up with historically Black colleges and universities. And then the next moment she is doing a campaign with Pharrell or with Snoop Dogg, and she's at the Super Bowl. This girl got it made, honey. She's not gonna leave anytime soon.
Right.
And there were so many things out of that journey that were beautiful and were exciting, but then there were others that made me continue to wonder, what more is out there? What is not only my purpose, but am I fulfilling my purpose the best way that I can?
Wow.
And I found myself in 2018, a lot of 2017, but mostly in 2018, asking myself a question of, what is my purpose? And within that purpose that I have, am I fulfilling it, not just in my current job, but in my life overall? And the more and more that I asked myself that question, the more I realized the answer was getting further and further away from a yes, you are in your purpose.
Wow.
And yes, you're achieving your goals. And so I would say 2018 was really the year that I started asking myself, what is the goal that I want to achieve? And I'll never forget, my husband and I were on our honeymoon. And I woke up and I looked at him and I was like, I'm waiting for you to get up. And he was like, what is it? And I said, I know this is our honeymoon. And we just had a fabulous wedding and you were there.
It was. It's gorgeous.
It was so good. But probably the busiest that I've ever been and the most money I've ever had to save. And so you can imagine me laying next to my new husband and saying, all right, I know we just went through some chaos, but get ready for some more. I want to quit my job. And I want to set a goal to open up my own business. I want to be a strategist, not working on diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging just in sport, but opening myself up to be able to serve folks from all types of industries, all types of communities. And I want to write that goal on this honeymoon right now.
Okay, stop right there. It's morning, maybe 12, I don't know, because you partied all night.
Oh, I sure did party all night.
You wake up and you have this push inside of you that says there's more.
Yeah.
What was your husband's response to that?
It's amazing because when I have these conversations and I look back in that moment, I'm so grateful for a partner that was designed just for me.
Can you say that again?
I am so grateful for a partner that was designed just for me. And I got goosebumps just saying that right now. Because the choices that we make in our lives when it comes to the people that are not only around us, but the people we choose to do life with,
yes,
can make or break our ambition and our confidence towards the goals that we set to make, right? And Dre, as usual, and no different in this moment than any other time that I've shared my dreams with him, he literally looked at me and he said, all right, how do you want to get it done?
I love it.
That's it. He didn't say, we just spent a lot of money on a wedding. He didn't say, oh my gosh, like, can we just relax for a second?
Can we take a breath?
Can we have a year where we're just enjoying each other?
Right.
Why do you want to move on from one big moment to the next? No, he just says, how do you want to get it done?
I love that.
And how can I support you to make it happen? And the last thing I'll say that was so moving to me, and I always remind him of this, he said, you always say it's me and you. And it's no different now. So I will help you, I will support you, I'll take care of the things that you're most afraid of. Just as long as you tell me what the plan is and how we're going to achieve this goal of yours.
That's really beautiful, because when I talk to single women, and that's not what this topic is about, but I think it should be.
Yeah.
But it's like we date, women date, and men do too, for where they are in the moment. They don't stop to really think about, where will I be in 5 years? And what kind of partner, purpose partner, like I refer to my husband as a purpose partner, who actually can ride the wave with me and support me in that. But I think sometimes we get so anxious because the clock is ticking and time is running out, and well, he's the best or she's the best thing for right now. But what about the future? So I love that.
Absolutely.
First of all, that Dre already knew you. He knows your personality. And I don't think it was a surprise to him at all when you said, I want to quit my job.
It was a surprise that I want to start my own business now, because he's the entrepreneur in our relationship. He, has probably owned his own business, so to speak, since he was 16. He does music production, and he's been doing it for a long time. And so I think one of us ever thought like Zanele would quit a corporate job and then all of a sudden want to start her own thing. I was never really interested in that. But I think that's the thing about goals, right? Like when we have goals that are aligned with our purpose, we have to get comfortable with the redirection, with the shift of what we thought was meant to be. And now what our vision is seeing our life, kind of evolving into. And it was hard for me to get to that point. It was uncomfortable to get to that point, but I couldn't imagine any other way that I could fulfill my purpose. I could really fulfill the passion that I have, you know, in the depth of my womb, so to speak, without opening up the gates that entrepreneurship, or I would say just independent consultancy, would have allowed me to do.
Right.
And it did that. And I love that you brought up the partnership. I have girlfriends that are single as well, and I say that all the time. I'm like, honey, you are incredible. You got a lot of goals that you have in your life. You have a lot of dreams that you want to achieve. And while you're probably looking for somebody who is fire, that you want to swipe right on Tinder or on Bumble or Hinge, really think about, who do you want to partner up in life with? Yeah. That is going to uplift you, that is going to help you achieve not only the goals that you have in life, but your beliefs, your values, and that's gonna take you further. And not to say that you have to be opportunistic with dating, but rather, how do you make sure that it's divine alignment? Yeah. Being really intentional. Absolutely.
You mentioned the word values, and that is a great segue into my next question. Yeah. So the more a goal aligns with one's inner or core values, the easier it will be to achieve it. And so we can achieve goals that aren't aligned with our values, but it's harder to do. Absolutely. And it's less satisfying. Yeah. So when you think about values, what values were you able to express through the achievement of the goal that you mentioned?
People are the heart of my work. That is how I show up for people, how I treat people, and how I make people feel the moment I walk away. Wow. Not when I'm in their presence, when I walk away, is incredibly important to me. And I would say it's the ethos, not just of my business, but of my relationships, of the way that I build relationships, I build partnerships. I'm always asking myself, how can I show up in this person's life in a way that's gonna make a difference forever? Yes. And it could be the smallest thing. It could be helping them make a decision. It could be listening to them. It could be reminding them that they are worthy of all the good things that life has to offer. Absolutely. And I don't have to get something in return, but rather what I get in return is that I can walk away and know that there's something that I have impacted in their lives. And so for my goal, I asked myself, okay, you want to achieve opening your own consulting or company or consulting collective. How do you ensure that people are at the heart of your work? Yeah. That you are not worried about the outcome of profitability, which is easy to get into. And as a businesswoman, it's of course something that I have to keep in mind. But first, how do I serve people and make them the heart of my organization? How do I meet them where they are? And know and understand that when I'm authentically showing up for people, when I am brainstorming ways to meet their needs, then all the other goals that make my business successful will come to fruition. But my non-negotiable is how I show up for them.
That's really powerful. When I think about setting goals, it really begins with your why. Yeah. Like, why are you doing this? Absolutely. And when you can answer that question authentically, because and we'll talk about it in a moment, but sometimes we'll set a goal for various reasons, but if our why is not rooted and grounded in those core values, we're less likely to stay motivated in completing that goal. Absolutely. So how did this goal, specifically around the collective, how did it align with your values?
So our collective is focused on being able to recruit and bring in individuals from different walks of life and different talents. And so I knew that, there are a variety of ways to run a consulting organization. You can have a firm, you can have an agency, you can end up actually creating a corporation. It's a variety of ways that people approach this work. But I loved the idea of a collective because it reminded me of a community. Oh, yes. It reminded me of creating a space where people are seen first for who they are, and then they are seen for the value of the work that they're bringing to the table. Yes. And so I wanted to bring a collective together that was able to see people not only for who they are, but to also hone in on their skills, to shine a light on the beautiful work that they do. Absolutely. But also give them an opportunity and experience to see a vision of where they could go. And so that's how I would say for my value of putting people and making sure that they're the center of our work. That's how it shows up with our collective. But with the work that we do, we always tell our clients when we get on a call, we say, like, you've probably heard the term consultants, you've probably heard the term facilitators, which there's space for everyone who's in those roles.
Yes.
But one of my favorite phrases that we say to people, we choose to say we're strategists because we don't intend to come in and tell you what to do, but instead we want to meet you where you are and build things with you.
I love that.
And we have no judgment. So we're not worried about, well, we want to know to be able to collect data, but we're not worried about, okay, these bumps in the road that you had in the past.
Right.
We want to know what did you learn from them?
Exactly.
And then understanding what you learned from them, we can work with you to now build a future that you're successful in whatever it is that you're trying to build. And that is literally at the heart of our work. How do we create this human connection that's authentic? How do we meet people where they are? And how do we ensure that they know that we're with them along the journey as well?
That's really beautiful. It reminds me of the book written by Daniel Goleman, who talks about emotional intelligence. And he emphasizes the importance of meeting people where they are.
Yes.
And not them meeting us where we are. So I think that that's powerful because then you can have a greater impact.
Of course.
Right? It's like showing up in a mission field and saying, we're going to fix you.
Yeah.
Whereas really it should be, we're going to serve you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people, I've noticed, when you tell someone, my goal is to help you be successful or to partner with you to create this particular achievement. But you say to them, but I want to meet you where you are. So why don't you tell me, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Where's your heart? Where's your mind? How is it that I can serve you? You get the most authentic version of them. Because folks show up, whether it's to meetings or to dinner dates or to briefing sessions, and they have the idea that, I gotta have my ish buttoned up.
Right.
And this person has an expectation of me, I have an expectation of them, so this is what I'm going to present to them. And some people might say, like, oh, of course, like, that's professional. But I think that there's a difference between showing up as a professional and showing up with a mask.
Right.
If you show up with the mask, I'm not getting the real you.
Exactly.
And if I don't get the real you, then I can't really help you.
Right.
I can't really make an impact. We can't make progress. And so I have found by setting the goal to make sure that our collective and our work puts the human first, puts people at the center of our work and says, show up as you are, it gives us the opportunity to make not only true impacts, but lasting impacts.
Absolutely.
Because we get the real version of them. We get the mess. We get the little shady sometimes, honey. We get the uneducated sometimes, and that's okay, because now we know what tools to bring them.
Right.
And we get the vulnerable, we get the heartbroken, and we get the fearful. And that is okay, because now we know, okay, this is where you are, and this is how we can best serve you.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, because as I think about clients that I've worked with, thousands of them, my goal is to create a space of psychological safety.
Absolutely.
So that people can bring their most authentic self. And we're talking about setting goals, right? And so in order to bring someone's most authentic self to the table, it's about creating a space of safety.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that you and your collective do that.
Yeah.
All right, so then obstacles. We know life will throw us a curveball in a minute, right? I mean, like from out of nowhere. And sometimes when we set goals, we're on a mission, we're very focused, and then all of a sudden something from left field hits us. And we're bound to run into these obstacles in life. So tell me, what did you have to give up or stop doing to achieve this goal? So in essence, what's the price that you had to pay? And why were you willing to pay it?
That's such a good question. So good. I have to be honest, and maybe it's for the audience that's listening to the audio version of this, and maybe somebody noticed on camera, but as soon as you asked that, obstacles, I felt a tightness in my chest. And for those that are entrepreneurs out there, and even if you just have day-to-day experiences, whether you're setting goals for work or for your life, and you have a vision and something runs and comes in the way, you can probably relate to that tightness in your chest, honey.
I can.
Because while you get through them, there are often moments and seasons where you're reminded of how far you've come.
Yes, indeed.
And you're grateful that you have made it this far. But there's some wounds there that you have to work through. So when I get that question, I think, whoo, Lord, I don't want to go back there. But I've learned so much. So the first thing that I had to give up was a traditional mindset. And since with the goal that we're talking about is entrepreneurship and going out on my own one way or another, I had to release the traditional mindset of, in order for me to be successful, I have to work a corporate job. I have to have an offer letter that gives me a number of how much I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make and cash the paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then if I do very well, then I'll get a promotion. If the company does well, I'll get a bonus.
Right.
And
some
everything's
stock.
honey and stocks, all types of benefits, healthcare,
Right.
all types of things that traditionally we are conditioned to believe. And there's nothing wrong with working a corporate job. I always tell my friends, and they're like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, hold on, honey. It's a lot more complicated than you think.
Right.
And I would never glorify the process, but yes, people often glorify the outcome. They don't talk about the journey nearly as much. And so I had to literally remind myself that I always knew, again, in the pit of my womb, that I had a purpose that was greater than any vision that I could see right now. I always knew that since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And I thought, surely that purpose, for me to be able to achieve it, it can be achieved, honey, coloring inside the lines all the time.
Okay.
And that's scary.
Right.
That is so scary. I was raised in a family with 10 siblings, mostly older, a few younger, and following the rules is a thing. You got a routine, you got to follow rules. You go do this, you get this.
Right.
And as an immigrant and an orphan that was adopted at a very young age, I usually function out of a space of gratitude.
Yes.
I should be grateful that I have this.
Right.
I should be grateful that I have this family. I should be grateful that I have this job. Why would I do anything to mess that up? And so I had to set myself to not just follow a traditional mindset in order for me to achieve my purpose, my goals, and my dreams, and remind myself that I can do things a lot bigger and I don't have to follow the straight path.
Right.
I can go windy and I can follow a winded road, and that is okay. But as long as I keep my head on my purpose, I'll be just fine. So that was the first thing that I had to give up. But I would say day-to-day things and the first 12 months of entrepreneurship or me being independent, I didn't get my nails done, girl. And those are the little things that people don't think about. They don't, they think like, okay, I'm gonna go and pitch all these clients. I'm going to, go to networking dinners, and I'm gonna hop on calls and talk to billionaire CEOs and ask them to give me advice. Sometimes it's not about the things that you have to go out and get, but it's about readjusting your own lifestyle so that you don't have to combat the fear that comes with being more constricted.
Yes.
So little things like $50 nails, I told myself I was giving them up before I even quit my job. I grew up learning how to do my hair before we moved to America.
And it's always beautiful.
Thank you. My mama taught me, she used to drop us off before we came to the United States. She would drop us off at the hair salon every Saturday for 6 months. And just put us in that environment. I was 8 years old and my sister was 16. And she was like, we're going to America. You're gonna go to college or you're gonna be in high school and you're gonna want extra money. Learn how to do hair. You can make a lot of money there. I'm not saying that's your career. If you want it to be great. But you gotta learn how to hustle outside of whatever your day-to-day routine is. And
so even then she was talking about mindset, having a growth mindset.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was really for my sister, and my mom didn't really think that at 8 I would pick up anything, but I did. I would literally walk over to the sink. I'm like, what's that? You're shampooing our hair? Why do you do the conditioner? What is that? I would move to them doing micro braids. How do you do that? I'll move to them doing locks. How do you do that? It ended up paying for a lot of my lifestyle in college. 10 years later, you know? But I will be in board meetings, I will be in conference meetings, already knowing that I was going to quit my job,
Yes.
and already condition myself to look good with no nails on.
Right.
To do my hair, my own hair, not have to wait for an appointment.
Yes.
That's $200, and ooh, I love you hairstylists, but y'all are on one the last couple of years. But $200, $300, it's a lot of money
Yes.
that you're spending on hair. And granted, it's every 2 months, but those are the types of things that I had to scale back.
Sure.
We're meal prepping on Sundays.
Yes.
We're not going out to eat.
Right.
I can go to these few birthday parties. These are the budget that I have. And I would say,
That's good, Zanele.
for my people pleasers in the audience, in a season of sacrifice, you're not going to be able to be everything for everybody, and that is okay.
That is worth repeating.
In a season of sacrifice, you are not going to be everything for everybody, and that's okay. And even in a season of victory, you will still not be able to be everything for everybody.
Right.
But I would say, and I don't know why this is choking me up, but I think that is it is probably the part that was the hardest for me that season, because I had built a reputation in my circle and my community.
Wow.
To show up to birthday parties, if not throw them for people.
Right.
I would use whatever funds that I had to, buy bottles of wine, take friends to the spa, pay for a weekend getaway. If there were people who wouldn't be able to afford it, I was the person who would cover it, and I loved it. I have no regrets there. But I realized in a season of sacrifice, those are things that I couldn't do anymore. And there's some people who have goals in mind that they want to achieve, but it's these things, the perception of them, their reputation, the crowds that are gravitating towards them because of what they have,
Right.
that could possibly be interrupted in the course of them trying to achieve their greater goal. And then they get scared and they don't do it. I know a lot of them. And I had to get accustomed to that. I had to tell my friends. I'll never forget, I showed up to a birthday party and I called one of my girlfriends and I said, "Is this weird that I'm afraid to walk in this party and I don't have anything?" It's not me, it's never me. And I said, these feel like small things to other people, but they're big things to me. I've always been a provider, and I can't provide in this season the way that I want to, because I have to stay focused on my
That's
goal.
right.
And she said to me, and God bless her soul, she goes, "Girl, I'm about to grab one of these bottles and go to the bathroom in the lobby. I'll meet you down here and you pretend like it's your bottle when you come up."
That's a friend. That's a friend.
And I was like, "Thanks, girl." But now I'm matured enough. I'm like, no, if I don't have it, I don't have it.
Right.
But that's a friend. She's like, "I know how you feel. We're going to grab one of these bottles. I'm going to take them up." And so those are, I would say, there are multiple things that I had to give up. But
Sure.
I certainly had to give up the traditional mindset. And I had to make lifestyle sacrifices, small and big, in order for me to stay focused on achieving my greater goal.
Listen, I know that helped someone. I know it did, because in the culture in which we live, it's always about the bling bling and being on, all the time. And so the fact that you would share your own personal story and be so transparent, I know it helped a lot of people. So thank you for that.
Yes.
All right, so next to the last question, who did you have to become in order to achieve this goal? Who does Zanele have to become?
I can imagine that. I think most people would answer this question and talk about this futuristic version of themselves. Probably. But I have on my phone, and it's over there, but I have on my phone on the screensaver, and it shuffles between 3 different pictures. My dog, Dre.
So cute.
My dog is my baby. My husband, Dre. And then the 8-year-old me, 2 days after she came to America.
Wow.
And she's sitting outside, and she has this look on her face like this. And I had to become her again in order for me to achieve the dreams that I'm achieving right now.
I love that.
Because that little girl would dream without limits.
Yes. Childlike faith.
Honey, she loved without judgment. And she didn't see red tape.
I love
on
that.
any of her abilities. And I would say, most importantly, she believed she could do great things in this country. And so I had to become her again, to have that type of faith, that type of excitement, and that type of joy at the idea that I could become anything. And the sacrifices that I was making were temporary.
Yes.
But the impacts that they were going to make in my life were going to be
Eternal.
eternal.
Absolutely.
So I had to become that little girl in order to be the woman that I am today.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So we're getting close to the end. And I want you to share either some advice or words of encouragement to our viewers today about how to stay strong. You know, as we were exiting 2022, Marshawn Evans Daniels posted something that really, just like, yes, that's it. And she said, a lot of times we talk about finishing strong.
Ooh.
She said, but let's finish focused.
Yeah, I love that. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give our viewers today about how to stay motivated, how to finish focused?
I would say there are two things, honestly, that I have reminded myself, not just in this season, not just in the season where I started over, but every day I remind myself this. And I would say that the first one is, do not look to your left, do not look to your right. The only person you should be impressing, the one that's forward in the mirror and beyond.
Wow.
I think that we live in a culture where scrolling,
Yes.
honey, reading, whether it is articles, headlines, or tweets, now threads, honey, which is, I think is a favorite of mine now.
Okay.
But Instagram, Facebook, we are looking at people and looking at their lives and believing that they got all their ish together, honey.
Right.
And we see people that are like, oh, it looks like you're on the finish line today, but you just started last night. I've been trying to do what you're doing for the last 5 years or for the last 10 years. How did you get there? How do you get to travel everywhere?
Right.
How do you have so many clients? How did you get into Ad Week? You know what I mean? How are you getting the awards for Ad Color? Like all of these things, and those aren't mine, but these are things that I've heard people say, and I have my own things too. And so what I like to remind people is that when you're trying to achieve a goal, focus on what is on your plate.
That's right.
Focus on what you have access to. And I don't mean access to because of your network, because of your funds or your resources, but what you have access to deep down in here. Truly, what do you have? I'll never forget this, and I know I can go on and on. But there was a moment that I won't lie, and I hope my husband is okay with me sharing this, but we were in our apartment. It was month 6 after I had quit my job. And I'm working from home, obviously. I am hustling till 3 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 8, doing it all over again. And he came in the house and he asked me how my day was. And I just started bawling. He said, "What's wrong?" And my husband is a senior studio lead at Nike, and he works in, he does his day job there, but he's a music producer and a DJ.
Yes.
And when he came in, I'm like a blubbering mess, and I'm saying to him, I'm like, "You don't get it. Like, I'm not like you. Like, I'm not a DJ. I'm not a music producer. People can't just call me and say, do you want to DJ this party, or do you want to, produce this music for this artist or for this commercial?" And he's done very well in music. And I'm saying all of these things, and he takes my face up like this, and he said, "I have to buy equipment to achieve my goals. I have to buy software to make my beats. But you, baby, you just show up and you use this, this, and this. And you change lives, and that is your business." He said, "What a gift that God has given you. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Wow. That
Be
part.
grateful for the things that God has given you that are inside here." And I will never forget that he shared that with me, and I've kept it in my mind. And it's a story I share with a lot of people to say, think about what you have right here with you.
Yes.
And not what other people are doing, what they have, but what's instilled on the inside of you in order for you to achieve your goals. And then the last one that I would say is watch the company you keep. It is okay to have different categories of friends. I have friends that I love to kick it at the house with, and they're just as valuable to me as my friends that are mentors who've done the work that I've done or who've built businesses, and I want to learn from them.
Yes.
I love them, and I don't love them any less than my friends that I get to kick it home with.
Right.
But they motivate me.
Yes.
And they give me the blueprint. And then I have my friends that I pray with that know that the things that I experience on a day-to-day basis that are of the world, I don't belong to the world, honey. I belong to God.
Right.
And I need them to feel that on the inside of me on a day-to-day basis. And keeping this, I would say, ecosystem of incredible humans that love me and want what's best for me, but inspire me. I do not have to be the smartest person in the room.
Right.
I am okay with that. I love sitting back and listening to other people because I know when I walk out, I've gained something that I didn't have when I walked in. And so just paying attention to the company you keep and making sure you're not looking to your left or right, but you're looking in front and in here.
I love
Be
that.
my advice for folks to achieve their own goals.
I love that. I call it my success circle of trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is so good.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much for
course.
being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And you're in my
likewise.
circle, honey.
Come on now.
You've inspired me so much, and you continue to. So
Thank
I
you.
just love you, and I'm proud of you. And to anyone that's listening, I hope they continue to listen to you, because phone calls at 11 o'clock at night with you have changed my life. So I certainly hope the audience will be able to feel the same.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love you too. So, thank you for being here today. I know you got something out of this, and we look forward to seeing you at our next podcast. So stay tuned. But remember, you were born to soar. Until next time, be well.